2 weeks ago, I was doing this on the Yamaha Super Tenere. This week, I was doing this. Find out what I learned this week on MCrider and how you can apply it to your riding too. So I finally did something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I attended a track day. I did it on the Yamaha Super Tenere, which is not the perfect bike, but just like a couple weeks ago, it wasn't the perfect bike for the skills challenge either, but it did just fine. So this track was at Crescent Motorsports Ranch, and it's hosted by Eurosport Cycle. They do 2 of these a year. Eurosport Cycle is a Fort Worth-based motorcycle dealer that carries Ducati, Triumph, Moto Guzzi's, and Aprilias. It's a small family-run shop, and the owner, Tony Lewis, is also the lead instructor for the track day. I met Tony a few months ago. I was in the dealership, and this guy came up to me, and we just started talking motorcycles, and before I knew it, I'd been standing there talking bikes with this guy for half an hour. And didn't know till later that he was the owner of the shop. But Tony knows his stuff. He knows about the bikes he sells, and he knows about riding them as well. In fact, I think he used to be a professional racer. So the track day has 2 options. They have open track for the fast guys, and they have a riding school for guys like me. And it's the first time I'd ever been on the track, and the riding school was pretty cool. It was 30-minute classroom sessions followed by 30 minutes of track time. They had 4 track instructors who rode the track while we were out there and helped riders by showing the best line through the track, through the corners, and providing other tips as well about leaning your body off the bike to help with your lean angle as you went through corners. They'd follow you around the track and provide feedback after the session, or sometimes they'd pull in front of you to show you in real time what they wanted you to do. And it was real beneficial to me to be able to see them ride the track and me try to replicate it. It was a really good experience. It got hot that day. It got up to 97 degrees. So yeah, it was 97 degrees in October here in Texas. So it was hot, but we made it through. So what I learned from the track day, and why should you consider doing one as well? Well, if you want to improve your cornering, a track day is the best place to do it. A track day set up like this allows you to ride at your own pace. You can focus on cornering without worrying about traffic or dogs in the road or children chasing a ball out in the street. Just focus on the ride. I pushed a little on the Tenere, but it's no track bike by any means. So it doesn't matter what you ride, you can bring it out to an event like this. There were cruisers out there that kept scraping the pegs. There was a couple of Bonnevilles, 1 scrambler. But mostly it was crotch rockets and naked bikes. Here are some of the most important things that I learned from Tony and the other instructors, and these apply well to the street too. The first thing I learned was anytime you feel like you're riding too fast or out of control, you're mentally behind the motorcycle. And that's a dangerous place to be. So slow down until you can mentally relax. Look far up the road and get your mind out in front of the motorcycle. So as you're riding up to a curve, your mind should already be at that curve before the bike gets there. So you can mentally assess the situation and get the bike through. Second thing I learned, and I preach this here a lot, is you look where you go. On the track, on the street, on a motorcycle, you look where you go. Or as I like to tell you guys, you go where you point your nose. Turn your head, look where you want the motorcycle to go. The track is a very good place to work on those skills because you don't have to worry about things on the roadway like you do out on the street. So get that head turned through the corner. You'll be amazed at how much that helps. And in a situation like this where you're riding a little bit faster than you would be normally, turning your head is something even someone who practices it all the time, looking far enough through that corner is something you need to work on, and a skill that you can always improve. Another thing I learned was the farther ahead you look, the slower the bike seems to be moving mentally. So if I'm just focused on what's 20 feet around the motorcycle, it feels like I'm just really flying. But if I'm looking up the track and I'm keeping ahead mentally of where the bike's going, it seems to slow things down a lot. So here's a good exercise you can do right now. Look at a fixed object in the room and stare at it. That's where you want the motorcycle to go and where it will go because you're looking there. Now, while you're still staring at that, use your peripheral vision and take an inventory of what else is in the room. On the track, you use this wide field of view to keep track of braking points, of turning points, etc. But you still want to keep your gaze in the direction you want the bike to go. We don't always have this same luxury on the street because we have so many things that can intersect us on the road. So you do have to keep your eyes moving more on the street. But even rounding corners on the street, where I tell you to point your nose in the direction you want to go, you can still use this broader vision or your peripheral vision to watch for other potential hazards. So this is a good skill to have and a good way to practice this just sitting in your chair. The fifth and last thing I thought was really cool that Tony talked about is to think about your brakes as a throttle in reverse. So what do you mean by that? Well, how do you roll on the throttle on the motorcycle? You don't just go from 0 throttle to 100% throttle. You roll on the throttle gradually. And we should use our brakes in the same manner. Just like you don't instantly roll on the throttle, you don't instantly go from 0 brakes to 100% brakes, because that's going to only lead to bad things. So think of your brakes as a throttle in reverse, and just the way you apply the throttle gradually, apply your brakes gradually as well, from 0 to full force if needed, and that's going to help control the motorcycle through quick stops and as you need more braking power. So overall for me, this was a good learning experience and another training opportunity that you should think about if you have an event like this in your area. I posted a really good article. I was going to tell you guys about it, but I found this article written by Tony, and I want to share it with patrons over on the Patreon site. So I'll have a link pop up here on screen. It will also be in the description where you can read this article. And in this article, Tony talks about going for it in corners. It's a really interesting read. It's a pretty short article, but I think you'll enjoy it. So head over to the link in the description or the link up at the top if you're a patron. And really good discussion here. I think you guys will like it, and I'd love for you to leave comments over on Patreon and tell me what you think about this article. So till next week, guys, this is Kevin with MCrider, and we'll see you on the road. Hey friends, MCrider is a weekly show released every Friday, so if you like what you saw, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to get more involved, go to mcrider.com/support, and you can learn how to support the show. And my thanks for doing that. You'll get access to the field guide, where you can have training exercises and techniques that you can work on any open parking lot.